Joining us in the studio on Static this evening, it's great to welcome back to Sydney Jenny and Emily from Warpaint.
Hi. Hello.
You're doing good?
Yes, we are.
Most excellent.
It's afternoon tea time in the Warpaint camp. You're re-nourishing yourselves after all those, hot, sweaty shows at Laneway.
Keeping hydrated.
Yep.
Warpaint are actually one of few bands to have played Laneway twice. It must be a rare Hall of Fame.
Is that true?
Yeah. Well, it's only been going 10 years or so, and not too many have got to do it twice. So you guys must be doing something right.
We met Danny in the great moment at South by Southwest when we were wee lasses, so we bonded a long time ago. It was great.
Oh, I didn't know that we met him there. Wow.
So that's the secret to get on
Yeah,
festivals.
meet him in Texas.
Get him drunk.
When you were here the first time around, the debut album had only been out a few months.
Mm-hmm.
So
Same deal.
That's,
Or kind of weeks.
well, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's been 4 years since that record. So, did it feel a long time coming, or have you played so many other festivals in the interim that it was almost like a blink of an eye?
I would say that it went by really quick. We were on the road for close to 3 years, so it kind of feels like one day. Same day every day.
Yeah, we were somewhere this morning that we were over 3 years ago, and Jen was saying it felt like we had been there
3 months ago.
3 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, you seem to take your sweet time in Warpaint anyway, because you were actually a band for a number of years before the first record came out.
Mm-hmm.
Were there people trying to rush you into that first record, into The Fool, or did you actually spend some time finding a sound and working out what you wanted to do?
I think we spent a lot of time just cultivating our sound and finding out who we were as a band, around the time we made our EP. And so by the time it was time to make The Fool, we had a lot of those songs going and being worked on for years, and it was just, a record deal and finally something to kind of usher us into that next stage.
Yeah, it went by pretty quick. Stella had joined the band right before we went into the studio, and I think we made that record, I think it was a month, and we went on tour, and then we came back and we finished it. But yeah, the songs had already been written. Mm-hmm. A lot of them had already had drum parts, which Stella hadn't heard previously, but the songs had been floating, lingering around for a long time.
I was wondering if you were going to be able to use that as an excuse for the second album taking so long, because this is, in essence, the first record that you've done with Stella in the band as this new four-piece.
Yeah, and I mean, really, it's only been since we've had time to write and record the record. When we started recording the record was a year ago, basically.
Is it pretty important that Warpaint's a democracy, though? I mean, is that the way you run it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't really function as anything else. That's part of how we established the band from the beginning, and that's part of the writing process, I suppose, is just we're all together and collaborating. That's how the music gets made. And sometimes, I mean, we do a lot of different offshoots now, but that's really how we formed,
Yeah. Do you write in pairs or anything like that, or does all four of you have to be in a room to make a song work?
Sometimes it just happens that we're all four in the room and it's working, and it's easy and it feels good. But I think we generally split off into pairs just so that it expedites that process, because you've got four opinions, four people saying different things at the same time can actually prolong.
You almost have to bring an adjudicator in at some point if all four of you are in the room.
Yeah.
Because even on the new Warpaint album, it sounds like the way the album starts, it's almost like this false start where you kind of are still getting it together because there's that kind of klutz up and the sorry on the track intro. That was your
Just
klutz
scrambling
up?
to get it together, always.
Yeah, I think we left that in too, because this happens to us a lot. We'll get stuck with something that we initially start out using as not even a joke, but say song lyrics, like one-word song titles. We'll do that all the time just for a quick reference. But then to go back and change it into like a long, meaningful, blah, 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 it never feels right. It's just like, leave it. That's the name of the song. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is a lot of what Warpaint do that sort of instinctual then?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Gut instinct, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that the way that we work with each other, just the way that we are with each other, we're all very intuitive with one another, and I think intuition and instincts go pretty well.
And the more you work on a song, I mean, it seems a tricky process to not cram an album with instruments and sound, to kind of give it room to breathe. Is that something that you went through with making this second album? Were you kind of aware of not throwing everything in? What are you both laughing at?
You guys have a copy of Nashville, the television show, on your counter?
Oh,
She just
man,
snuck me over
The afternoon's going to go out the window right now, isn't it? You're going to watch Nashville instead.
Yeah.
I love Nashville. Okay, sorry.
So I think part of the process of writing The Fool and how many years we had been developing some of those songs, like some of those songs were, like Lizzie's Heart Murmur, for example, is the first song that we ever really started writing together as a band many, many years before. So there was so much going on and so much changing. The way that we would write is we would just change our songs all the time and add new parts and take parts away and just constant evolving over years. You know, that's really what those songs are. And so this album was such a different thing because it was, okay, we've just gotten off the road. We took a minute off when we got back into writing. And after touring The Fool and how intense that was as well, just playing and performing live and all the parts, like Jen said this before, but we even had to strip back some of The Fool just to be able to perform it live where it didn't feel just so chaotic. So I think when we got into the writing zone for this, there was just, it wasn't even really a spoken thing, but everybody just wanted to take a little bit of a breath in the music.
You'd learnt from your past mistakes. Don't make things too complicated.
Yeah, I think that's part of the maturing process too, and also the part of the process of learning to communicate with each other as a band. You know how and when to talk, maybe literally as a band, and then also with the music. There's a better conversation going on. I think that was a...
It seems there's still plenty going on in these songs. I mean, a track like Go In is quite a feather-light track, but still there's, you know, keyboards and backwards guitar.
There's
and
a lot of elements.
yeah, even a Tony Allen sample, which, you know, ratchets up the cool factor. Did you have a lot of help in doing that with the producer? I mean, you went to Flood, which is, you know, a pretty heavy hitter.
Well, it's funny you should mention that song because that song is all from the demo, except for the vocals and a little overdub that Jen did. Most of that song is something that Stella made herself in the desert. Total demo. And Flood was really good like that, where he'd like let a demo become the actual main track, you know.
So you didn't pay him for that track, though, then? You know, you docked his pay because you didn't do too much on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's actually 4 songs on the record that are the demos we used. So
I mean, was someone like him the first choice, or were you kind of further down the rung of, you know, big-name producers when it came time to make the Warpaint album?
He was first.
How'd you get him?
he was definitely, I think, first choice.
He was first.
Didn't
and
really want to
only.
produce. Yeah, the thought of having a producer at first, at least for me, was I wasn't super into the idea. I was excited about making a record by ourselves, and then his name came up, and he showed some interest and was available. So it was a pretty easy decision to make.
There's been quite a lot of hands on it because Nigel Godrich mixed a couple of songs as well. So were people excited to be working on the Warpaint record?
I think everybody in the world wanted to work on this record.
There's a cue.
Yeah, they, you know, Flood definitely expressed interest back when we approached him, which was nice, and he didn't really want to come in and change anything. He just wanted to get inside what we were doing and lend a hand, and I think that's really what he did. So
Yeah, I mean, sort of even talking about the way that you work as a band and then having a producer like that, it does seem a pretty collaborative process to arrive at, you know, at the end result. And even going so far as to get Chris Cunningham to do all the visual stuff for this album. And, you know, he was doing filming for 2 years of making the record, or around you guys for a long time. It wasn't like he was there for 6 weeks or anything, huh?
No, he hasn't been filming it for 2 years. He's been sporadically. He started filming when we were in Joshua Tree, which is where we started writing the record. And so I think that's how people get it mixed up.
Okay.
That he's been like relentlessly following us around for 2 years and filming every single move, and that's not really what's been going on.
I was wondering if he was waiting for an arc or something, you know, like had to be there when the breakdowns happened
Yeah.
and, you know, the crises.
Oh, there's plenty of those daily. He's helped shape a lot of the visual. I think even his collaboration on the visual level lends us to creating a more cohesive idea of our band and the way that it feels, instead of it just being about the music and the art or the videos being just an afterthought or whatever. You know, we're trying to kind of make it all feel right.
Yeah, and did you kind of need to visualize the album then as you were creating it?
I think it just happens, kind of.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to wonder is if you ever do a deluxe edition, maybe you should have it in smell-o-vision, you know, if the Warpaint album had a smell, what would it be?
We did talk about scratch and sniff covers.
We are working on a scent as well.
Are you? Mm-hmm. That's very Britney of you.
That's where we got it.
Yep.
And so,
Learn
you
from
know,
the best.
if the second Warpaint album had a smell, then Jenny, what would it be?
Let's see. Something spicy, something floral. Mixture of spicy, floral, and sweat, dirt.
Doesn't sound like a bad description of what went into making the record then. Huh?
Yeah, there you go. Some blood,
Dirt,
too.
floral, and sweat. Yeah.
Floral and
Blood.
sweat. Right, we might have a listen to a song off of the album now. We'll play Disco Very. So does this mean if we're working on a pattern, you're going to be also doing Laneway in 2017? Are you thinking that far ahead, or is it...
2017?
Well, I'm guessing if you're doing a 3-year turnaround...
Oh, gotcha. Well, we would be more than happy to return to Laneway at any point in time in our lives.
All right, Jenny and Emily, it was great to talk to you this afternoon on Static, and this is Warpaint now. Have a great rest of the tour.
Thank you.
We'll go back here at some point.
Bye.
I